So today I have some hens and chicks, or Sempervivum, that I'm going to divide and plant up. And these are fantastic plants because they take very little care. They don't care what kind of soil they're in. They love poor soil especially. They don't need much water. You don't have to fertilize them. I mean, these are like the plant it and forget it type of plant. As long as they're getting a good amount of sun. Other thing I love about them is that they're basically an evergreen. So as soon as the snow melts in the winter, they look pretty normal. You might get a little dieback at different times of the year, but for the most part, they just always look kind of interesting. Color can change though, depending on the variety. So sometimes they're always green, but there are varieties like this one that has some red or purple in it. There's also ones that are yellow or gold or orange or really some intense reds, and that color is going to fluctuate throughout the year. I've noticed that when we put our Sempervivum in the cold frame for the winter, and that's the area that we store kind of our overwintering plants, and it gets very, very cold in there, freezing, because these are hardy down to zone 4 usually. Some of them are even zone 3. Well, the nice thing about these is that sometimes when it's cold out, they get their best color. I think the gold nugget one, it's always this really intense kind of orangey yellow color when we have it in the cold frame. So it's one of those when we walk in the cold frame to check if things need water or anything, that's the one that's just glowing in there. So really interesting plant that way. Also fantastic for like those little nooks and crannies, like if you have a rock wall, if there's just a little crevice with a little bit of soil, stick some in there. Or if you have a little corner of the garden that gets good sun, tuck it in there. It's just one of those plants that'll just kind of do its thing. If it doesn't make it, what are you out? I mean, look how many I have to work with. So I'm going to just try a couple. I'll show you what I do. You'll notice like this center part is what we planted earlier in the season. It was even smaller than this. These were all produced since, what was it, March or maybe April. And then it also has some dangly babies too. And all of these offshoots can be planted. We just need to make sure that there's contact with some soil, and they tend to do just fine. So I'll show you exactly how I do it. And there's a lot of different ways to get the same job done. In fact, it's hard to mess them up. So let me show you how I do it, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we're going to get this out of the container, which is pretty easy here. They're kind of clinging on a little bit. Okay, and then that's all we're going to have to do is start breaking off some of these pieces. So let's just see what happens if I give these a little bit of a tug. Actually, I'm going to just break it up kind of in here. So I'm just pulling this apart to see what I can see. Man, this is so nice. Okay, so you can see I've got these little stems that come down, and it is nice if you get some of those fibrous roots. So we're going to keep that soil in contact with it, and then we can just start breaking these apart. And now I could easily clean up some of these dead little leaves in here. That's not too big of a deal. We'll just keep going with it. Notice I'm not trying to be fussy or anything with this. They're all doing just fine. Okay, now that I've gotten all the chicks out of there, I can pick off any bad leaves down at the bottom, or any leaves that I think are going to be coming off anytime soon, just to get it looking a little tidier. And sometimes the mother plants will last only a couple of years, and then they send up a stalk and they're kind of done. But that's why it's good to be able to propagate them from there. So there's the mother plant. I can put that in somewhere, and I'll just dig a hole for that one. But these other ones, I can do the same cleanup if I want. It's not necessary, but you can. And then that's all you need is a little hole where you can just tuck this in, and it should root. I don't worry too much about anything else with this. I just kind of get the job done that way. Sorry for going off camera so much on this. And that's what I'll do with those. Let's see if this one's the same. So again, we're going to pop this off. And you can see the roots, don't even go down to this part here. And then we'll just break off a couple pieces. Yeah, we're just seeing the exact same story here. And I can leave them clumped together if I want, or I can break them up a little bit more. Oh, these got really nice little fibrous roots, so those are going to take really easy. So yeah, this is so simple, and this is fun to do with kids too. So let's go find some spots. I'm just going to tuck them into all kinds of spots.